Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of PKM Weekly. So let's see what's been in store for us from the past week. First up, Thymer, which one you choose. They've released a few things, not as an update as such, but they've implemented various different things along the course of the past week. Search history, pin searches, inline references, focus issues, selection collapse fixes, and show hide page properties. So lots of things being implemented day in, day out by the devs as they go along and as they spot things that need fixing. There was one thing that I was a little bit in debate about, and that was the plugins. You can use plugins, you cannot use plugins, but what I found was that there is quite a lot of power in the plugins, and that is I wanted to see my journal notes side by side for the past week, past 3 days or so. With a Claude code, so a bit of prompts, I was able to create exactly that, as you can see here in the image. Weekly journals, this is just a 3-day view. You can create a 7-day view. With a bit more prompts, you can probably do a 5-day view. You can scroll along the weeks. And basically, it was nice and easy to implement, copy and paste a few things, and off you went. Would I want to see this in the core? Probably, given that days are quite specific and quite important to Thymer and the journaling. But it also goes to show the power of being able to do your own thing in the app. With a little bit of code, you can see things and implement things the way you want them. And as I say, if you don't want to see a 3-day or a 7-day, you can quite easily tweak it and do it yourself rather than having to wait for the devs to implement it when they've got a lot of other things to be doing in the meantime. So I am slowly coming around to the idea of the plugin functionality and the use of it, but we shall see how that goes. And if you want more news of Thymer, do check out Thymer Weekly. That's my other publication where I go into more depth of what's been happening in Thymer, the change logs, some of the things that are up and coming, some dev chat, what they've been talking about, and some other community things that have been going on and being discussed in the past week. So that was that. Now Obsidian, an easier one to pronounce. Version 1.11.5, it's got the desktop and mobile app improvements, and this comes off the back of a mobile app redesign. So what you can do in the latest version, secret storage, now encrypted, daily notes, daily note fixes, and various different file path normalizations and other things that have been improved. And on the mobile, keychain settings improvement, disable auto capitalization on secret input field, and added a few more other things. And talking of the mobile app, version 1.11, that included the major changes to the mobile app. And in Reddit, what you can do is you can see a bit of a preview, a minute-long video of how the new app works and what you can do with it. And there's a number of comments on this one, so well worthwhile checking out to see what people are saying about the mobile app and its experience since it's been updated. So some great stuff on that one. And one of the posts in Reddit following on from the video release and from the app release was, it's finally arrived, there will be some resistance, some embrace, what do you guys think about it? And again, if you follow the post, 90 comments with various different things that people are liking and maybe not liking so much, with some comments from Capano and the team. Construct by D, they've carried on with a video series, so we're at video 304 on Obsidian bases, and this time they're looking at creating a base for project management. So in this brief video, you can see how he goes through the template, 4 tables for project management, sub-projects, what to do with them, work sessions or meetings, childs and related notes, and knowledge base, as well as a bit of a recap. So well worthwhile having a look at the video, even though if you're maybe not a user of Obsidian or the bases functionality, well worthwhile checking out and seeing if there's anything from the video that you can take out and put into your own notes app that you're using. So that was Obsidian. And Capacities, they did the Discord Ask Me Anything, and there was a lot of questions and points being raised on the Discord. So you'll have to follow the Discord. I don't think it's been published anywhere else yet. So questions, and you can see just scroll, and there's a lot there basically of questions and answers from the devs. So well worthwhile having a look at that one if you're interested more about Capacities. And there was a post on Reddit that someone put up with how I use Capacities for task management and project management with periodic notes and Zettelkasting note taking. And they lay out their structure, how they the core tools that they're using, and within the post itself they talk about it in a lot more details of how it works, one-offs, recurring tasks, how you do with it, what I loved about it, didn't like about it, and things that need to still be done, so and the full structure. So again, maybe not specific to Capacities, but you can, maybe this post is specific to Capacities, but you can also have a look through it and see if there's anything that you can take out for your own note-taking experience. That was up for Capacities. Tana, they've released the first release of 2026, and that includes AI voice chat, improved AI voice chats, summary and illustrations from your voice chats. These are all iOS. They are looking to make it parity with Android, but it's going to be a little bit of time before they can get to that. Goals template from Theo, and you can expand state is kept in your published notes, and there is a full change log on the Tana website, or Slack even, where you can see the full release of what they've been up to since Christmas and New Year. And within the video that's posted here, at about 40 seconds into the video, there is a little bit of a preview of a Tana MCP, and Bragg does mention more is coming soon, so well worthwhile checking out. They do know that a lot of people are asking for API access or more API access keys or whatever it is that they're asking for, but the team are acknowledging it, and they are working on things to make it easier for everyone. So well worthwhile having a look at that one and keeping an eye on it. Tana also did a video of what they've shipped in 2025, and they've come a long way, so here's a recap of the most important things that they believe that they've released. It's a quick 2-minute video and just basically goes through some of the things that they've released during the course of 2025. So if you just want a quick recap, definitely do check this video out. There was a post on Reddit about a user saying, I really love Tana, but I'm worried about the long-term data access. So I'm using Tana for several months, and honestly it's the best PKM tool that I've used since forever. Super tags, relational structure, the interface, nothing comes close to it. I do kind of agree some of the stuff is second to none within Tana. But here's my problem, I use Tana for work. I need to access data for several years, maybe decades. What happens if Tana shuts down one day? What do I do with it? Yes, there's Markdown export, but let's be real, you lose everything that makes Tana special. But that is not only limited to Tana, that's the same thing with a lot of other apps. As soon as you add in plugins, you add in certain functionality, it no longer becomes just a simple text file. So something to keep in mind, even if you do move somewhere else. And there was a few comments and responses to the OP's post, basically giving some insights and things to keep a lookout for. So well worthwhile keeping in mind that the app may not be there forever, which brings me back to Capano's point of Obsidian, file over app maybe does win. But we shall see. Logseq, they was a couple of things this week, so I honestly don't think I could function without Logseq anymore. So again, on Reddit, there's quite a few posts on Reddit this week. I've been using Logseq for about a year. It's become so much more than just a note-taking app. My entire life is documented there. But lately I've come across a bit of an existential crisis. I'm worried about the long term and what will happen to the app, to the notes, etc. because I want to use it for the next 80 years or so. Lots of comments, lots of responses, so well worthwhile again checking out if you are also in the same boat of what do you do with your notes more longer term, and is it maybe just a case of more overthinking, or is the OP's thought process along the right lines? They've also opened up Logseq Sync Test. This is for the new DB version. So there's been a few questions on it about how to get access. What do we need to do to get access? And for now, all sponsors, that's $15 a month through the Open Collective. They've got access to the new sync and the new mobile apps for the DB version, but access is rolling out to other users and other subscription tiers or donation tiers, so just be a little bit patient if you haven't already received access. Griply, they've released quite a few improvements in the first couple of weeks of Jan or so. Korean keyboard support, dates are clearer, you can choose to show completed tasks in goal and life goal areas, achieve goals no longer clutter your list, and various different other things. And the good thing that I find is that they've also finally signed up to Discord. So they used to be on WhatsApp, which is very unusual, but there we go. And Reddit as well, but now they've finally joined the 21st century and have opened up a Discord community. So some great stuff there from Griply. And There is a recurring comment of when is the Android app going to be available, so you can obviously use it online. You can download the apps on computers, laptops, and you can also use it on iOS, but there is a lack of Android app, and the devs have said we're working towards an Android app later this year. We don't have an ETA yet. We don't think it's going to be Q1 2026. Realistically, maybe Q3, Q4, possibly Q2. So basically from mid-year 2026, I would say there's going to be something communicated. But in the meantime, don't forget you can use Griply very well through just a mobile browser on the phone. I use it on that way, never really had any issues. Yes, it would be nice to have a dedicated app, but it's more than fine for the time being whilst the devs work on the Android app to get that polished. That was it for Griply. Octarine version 33.3 is out. Reduced CPU timeage, or usage even, so it's even faster than was expected. Enhanced scrolling and loading performance for large notes. So again, it loads up even quicker than was expected, even by the devs, I think. And quick shortcuts in the landing page are now clickable. And there's obviously a few more things that have been improved and released from the changelog that you can see here. And what I think I just saw was that there was another update with 33.4, but that just fixes a couple of things just this morning. So some great stuff from the Octarine guys on that one. There's not really news from the past week or so, but I thought I'd mention it because Evernote Todoist. So a couple of apps have increased their prices of late. So Evernote's now $8 a month for the starter plan, and that limits you to 1,000 notes, or $21 or so if you want to go all in. And obviously it's a bit cheaper if you just pay up front for the year. And Todoist, they basically went from $5 to $7 a month, or $48 to $60 per year. So is it a sign of things to come from the other apps that we all love and like and use every day? That price increases are about to happen, or is these just one-off things? So something, as usual, just to keep in mind that apps can increase their pricing if there's a subscription model. And if there isn't one, they might add one. So again, just something to keep in mind. Noteey 1.45.0, that's available. So new features and improvements: bidirectional mind map, markdown conversion, elbow style connections, multi-select support, batch markdown, and various different other things. And as usual, check out the video that they publish, that you can see exactly what each update is and how you can nicely use it and make the most out of it. So great stuff from the Noteey app. Nice to see that it's continuously being updated. And Appflowy, they had a big release, version 0.11. That's out. Some great stuff coming out. Two-way relations, filter by relation roll-up database, improved links, more calculation options. So lots of great stuff, mainly coming to the database portion of Appflowy, and some very useful and interesting things that we are used to, I guess, in Notion. So it's nice to see them taking some inspiration from Notion and implementing it in their own way. And they've also fixed various different bugs that were annoying and causing issues. And these guys as well, they have a nice little video, 2 minutes, that you can see all of the updates, how to use them, what they mean, and again, how you can get the best out of them if you are not aware. And in terms of upcoming things, Google Drive embeds, database chart view and export PDF, and some things that they're going to work on, database formulas, and database row page can be mentioned and shared. So again, well worthwhile keeping an eye out for Appflowy, because it's a really quality app with lots of features in it. And last up, Readwise. There's probably too many updates here, so I probably need to truncate it a little bit. Various different fixes that they've implemented, fixed highlights, fixed bulk updates, improved TTS, improved Ghost Reader, fixed animation, podcast transcripts, etc., etc. So you can see the full list here of what these guys have been working on in the past few weeks or so since the last update. And as usual, if you want to see the full thing, just go here to the Readwise changelog and you can see what they've been up to. That was it for this week, so thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next week. Bye.